I'm here at the booth of RS Games, GenCon 2015, with Roberto and Jim from RS, and they have agreed to tell me a little bit about Jolly Roger, a new game that they announced at Origins, and there was a prototype there. Now they finally have the full printed edition. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Roberto.
Thank you.
So, what is the game about?
So Jolly Roger is a pirate card game where the two most important elements are getting treasure and mutinying with the crew, or surviving the mutiny when your crew turns against you. The game is played in a series of rounds. It plays to up to 10 players, so you can have quite a large pirate crew on your ship. Each turn, the captain makes 3 decisions, and those 3 decisions drive everything that happens in the game. The first thing he does is assign a quartermaster.
Okay.
The quartermaster is his second in command, if you will. The quartermaster and the captain make decisions to manage the flow of the game. So in this case, we'll say that Roberto is the captain here, and he appoints me as his quartermaster. That's his first decision, and we'll come back to decisions are very important in the flow of the game. The second decision the captain makes is where he would like to go. And so he can decide to attack a town, he can decide to try to attack a merchant ship or attack a fort, he can go to pirate port, or he can bury his treasure once he has some. Once he decides where he wants to go, the crew all takes part in the actual activity of trying to, say, capture the merchantmen. So cards of the crew are actually what the player uses that drives most of the action in a single turn. So a standard card would be like this one right here. It shows that it has a certain amount of navigation skill, and it has a certain number of crewmen. And there's different types of cards. For example, this one also has 3 crewmen, and it has gun skill. Okay? And if you look at the different cards, to attack a merchantman, you need between 3 to 5 navigation, 1 to 3 guns, and 1 to 2 fighting. You don't know exactly what you need, so that when players play their cards, they'll figure out how to work together to capture the merchantmen. So once the pirates said we're going after that merchantman, we kind of know the range of numbers that we need. People, in any order that they want, play cards from their hands to determine, well, whether we're successful or not. So let's say some person played this, and another person played this card, and another person played this card. And you just keep adding up kind of the value of the cards until everyone says, well, I'm done. I don't want to play any more cards. Okay? Once everyone said, I'm done, I don't want to play any more cards, you turn over to see what you actually need. Well, in this case, we needed 3 guns, and so you would look through your range of what you have. I'm sorry, 3 navigation. Look through it and go, oh, shoot, we don't have enough navigation. We only have 2. We've got the 1 gun we need, and we've got the 1 fighting that we need. So we just ran short of navigation. If you don't get it, the ship sails away and you don't get any treasure. And everyone's sad, and the pirates sort of start grumbling. If you did capture it, though, let's say we did have the 3 navigation, you take a certain number of prize cards. And you give the prize cards to the captain. And the captain gets to look at the prize cards and say,
I pick 1, I can be a good captain, a nice captain, not go for the biggest stash of gold, but I can also decide. So, but okay, I'm the captain, so I deserve to get the better prize, and then I give the rest to the quartermaster to split around.
Oh, I see. To distribute to the players.
So if let's say there were 3 other players besides Roberto and I, well, we've only got 2 cards that I have to distribute to myself and the other 4 players. I could be a good quartermaster and give the cards to other people. Or I could say, well, I want 1, and I'm going to give 1 to another player over here. Well, these 2 players didn't get anything. Well, that's just how it is on a pirate ship sometimes. You don't always get the treasure. The third step is, or the third decision that the captain gets to make is punishment. If he looks around the players and says, well, you didn't really help us capture the merchant ship, you weren't really pulling your weight, I'm going to declare punishment. The quartermaster then has to pick a player that says, player, you lose a crew card. That's the punishment. Now the interesting part, and if that was it, that would be pretty fun. You could work together and be a very cooperative game, but there's another part, and that's the mutiny. After each one of the captain's decisions, anyone on the crew, including the quartermaster, can mutiny against the captain. And when you mutiny, then sides are drawn. So then members of the crew are fighting each other. You're no longer worried about the merchant ships and the towns, you're just worried about your crewmates and getting through the mutiny. How the mutiny works is the same cards are used as you did to attack the different locations. In this case, instead of using guns or navigation, you just use the number of crew symbols on the side. So for example, if as the first mate, if I was going to say mutiny because I didn't like going after the merchant ship, I could play this card, which is worth +1 crew. And let's say I had this card in my deck and this card in my deck. Okay? Right? I would have 4 people supporting my mutiny to be the new captain. Roberto, as the captain, can then also play his cards. He's got one for the captain. Let's say he's got a sharpshooter and the first mate. Okay.
And of course, it's very important to find allies, to get the other players, to convince the other players, to bribe the other players into getting
to join the mutiny or to join the defense,
to join the captain.
Right.
So you can offer prizes, you can menace punishment, whatever you want to, so that you get people on your side.
Do you then have to keep your promises? Are they binding promises?
No.
Okay, I was just checking. I thought
Too simple.
I thought I was getting in the spirit of the game, but I wanted to check.
Okay, so once all the crewmen have said, I've just supported one side or the other, you count up the number of crewmen that are for either the mutiny or for the captain. If the captain wins, he's reconfirmed. He selects a new quartermaster. If he wins, it's probably not going to be me this time. If the mutineers win, the person who started the mutineer becomes the captain, and he appoints a quartermaster, and you go on with the decision-making process of the game. On the crew side, there are a number of interesting crewmen called special crew. They have special effects, so you could play it for the crewmen that it provides, but you could also use their special ability. And the deck is just full of special character-filled pirates that can affect the mutiny or affect when you go after a location and try to get a prize. And that's the heart of the game right there.
How do you win?
So, when you get treasure, so when you go back to, so let's say back when we had the Treasure Island, you'll have a certain number of cards that you got from capturing the fort or capturing the merchantmen. Most of them have a certain number of coins that they're worth. And at the end of the game, you'll get, the value of gold is how you determine victory. They're like your victory points. But there are also a couple of special types of cards. There are jewels, hostages, and rum. And they can be changed into the pirate port to give you either additional prizes or additional crew. And so there's basically 4 types of treasure that the pirate can acquire.
You play the game normally over 10 rounds, so 10 trips to various destinations. And at the end of the 10th round, or when the prize deck is exhausted, the game is over. The one very important thing to notice is the role of the Treasure Island, because your gold is never safe unless you bury it in the Treasure Island. This means that every time that you are in a mutiny and you are on a losing side, you risk losing your gold.
I see.
So it's very important that at some point of the game you try to get to the Treasure Island to get your gold safe. It's one of those moments where most often mutiny happens, because of course if you have a lot of gold to bury and you don't have any, you are not so happy to go to the Treasure Island. So it's really tricky. And so at the end of the game, both the buried gold and the gold that you still have in your hand count for victory conditions. But of course, it's very hard to keep the prizes unless you bury them.
Sounds great. Thank you very much to Jim and Roberto for introducing Jolly Roger from Ares Game at GenCon 2015. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Ciao.